Hi everyone, welcome to today's discussion. Today we're going to be reviewing the Salesforce Usage Dashboard. The Salesforce Usage Dashboard is going to cover three key topics. First one, giving you insights into the usage revenue that you're processing through the LogiSense billing system. Second is going to be upsell or client satisfaction issues with consumption or usage-based items. And the third is going to be identifying potential revenue leakage items to help you to control those usage-based events. So let's dive into the usage dashboard and take a look at some of these in a little bit more detail. Okay, now we're going to dive into the LogiSense usage dashboard. You can see right now I'm showing you an actual dashboard sitting inside Salesforce. LogiSense is presenting all of its usage information inside a Tableau run dashboard in Salesforce. It's all part of the application that you can install and use with LogiSense billing. We're going to take a look at those three key items, and we're going to look at some of the different visualizations that help with that. First, let's look at right here this quick little tour of this set of tabs at the top. These give you the upsell opportunities, some exception management, and processing rates. We're going to talk about the upsell. That's the upsell and client satisfaction elements. What we wanted to do is give you something that was a look into your client's consumption along with what the expectations were so that you could get ahead of the curve. Well, a LogiSense billing application will give your clients notifications when they are using so much of their usage or reach certain levels or thresholds. Those notifications are often important to go to the client, but you also want your sales team involved in understanding what's going on. So if we take a look here, I'm running a large set of data that spans all the different types of industries that we have, whether you're a communications customer, an IoT customer, or an X as a service type of platform, we will work with any of those data elements. And if I look at my upsell opportunities, I have over 32,000. And this is over a 3-month period, which we could easily change. But I've narrowed in on one specific account. And we can see they've bought many products with us. They have this product that they bought that's 5,000 APIs, and they have 1,700 plus of those, some data consumption elements, and then they bought some money-based consumption elements as well. And we can see where they're at. If we dive over to the next one, we can see where they're supposed to be. And so this tells us, if I bought something that is going to be lasting 1 year, say a $50 consumption that lasts a year, where should I be now? If I'm 6 months in, I should be spending half of that. We'll show people that are past the line, which is where they should be within that account contract or that offering or usage allotment, and people that are below the line, and we'll give you a percentage of that. And anyone that is reaching or passing that line is going to give you a potential for an upsell opportunity. And you can narrow into specifically what they're using more of than what you should be expecting them to use. So it gives you great insights into look at that. And if we scroll down to the bottom of this here as well, we'll actually peg out the top 10 accounts that have these overages so that we can be a little bit more specific, and your sales reps can narrow down on those accounts that need a little bit more touch, maybe need to better understand what their consumption options are, or give them another offer. Maybe sell them something that is a little bit more generous so they don't go into overage or overconsume their products and services faster than they expected. So that's the first little element. You can see there's a number of different visualizations here that help aid with that. You can collapse and expand these whenever you need to, or dive deeper into these elements to get a full picture of that customer account. So even though this account here says, there's a total allotment of all of these different types of consumption units or allotments there, if I click into them, I can see exactly what they purchased and how they're using them and where most of those are. And the same on the next graph over, I can see where they should be in each of those elements. So that helps with kind of the upsell side of things. The second part is going to be looking at what is the revenue passing through the system. We talked about looking at your revenue expectations. Well, we do have a few different elements here. We look at what are the different types of usage that you're passing through the system? What are the volumes of records or events or messages or APIs or sessions that you're passing through? Is that trending the way you should be seeing it? Are we getting the right amount of data throughout the day, throughout the month, throughout the week consistently? And when you look at the numbers, how much are we actually processing in the system from a revenue perspective? This little rated by amount per day gives us a graph that shows us each of those breakdowns. And we can see the revenue trending up over the time period that we have here. Is that trending with what your expectations are, with the growth projections that you have? You can easily measure this. When we see revenue, sometimes we see leakage. And so we want to kind of balance those two. How much revenue are we growing? How much are we potentially losing? What errors do we have? What omissions do we have? What should we try to capture? And the rest of the elements in these visualizations give us a snapshot as to what's going on. Do we have any potential pitfalls here that we need to address? So if I look at my average per day acceptance rate from my 3 different sources of data flowing in, this can be as many as you have, I can see that, in my orange, my IoT data, I'm processing 100% of it almost all the time, except for this one spot here where I only did 87.9% of the records coming through actually processed. So I had some exceptions there. If I look at some of these other ones, like the X as a service, there was 2 days that I processed it. And on those days, I was about 50% or about 20%. So a very poor element there. And the rest on the communications is pretty much flat at 99 or 100 with a few exceptions. So I can look at these anomalies in a little bit more detail inside the LogiSense billing platform and get very specific as to what's going on. But it gives you a good general picture from Salesforce as to, is your data flowing through the system properly? Are you capturing it? Do you need to spend a little bit more time troubleshooting? These elements down here will give you that a little bit of specific elements to show you maybe where some of these gaps or leakages are occurring. So do we have some exceptions that are occurring? Those are things where we can't process the usage. We don't know how to rate it. We don't know how to associate it to. There's some other elements in the data that's bad, and we can tell you what that is. You should see something fairly flat, but maybe you imported a new customer and forgot to set them up in the system. Maybe you updated your rates and someone made an error. Maybe there's a new set of data flowing in that's totally changed the format and the way mediation needs to process. These little spikes can bring to your attention when these problems are occurring. And these visualizations get updated on a regular basis. They're near real time for you as well. And then the last two just give you a little bit more of a view as to what you should be seeing for successful events flowing through the system and what your standard averages should be. And then what kind of things are happening in the system as far as skips or duplicates. So if you did have an API, say, sending us data, and it was shooting it across the usage API that we have available, and you started sending over and over and over messages, we would capture those inside our duplicates. So you don't have any redundant messages going through the system or events being processed for usage. So with the dashboard here, you can have a quick look into who you should be targeting from your customer base to potentially upsell, or look at having conversations about how they're using their usage. You can take a look from an operations perspective as to how well your revenue is flowing. And you can also take a look at where you should focus your time operationally on dealing with exceptions. So as we conclude this kind of session today, let's take a look back at what we started out with. Protect your customers' satisfaction, identify when you can upsell them, look for areas to improve your revenue and track your revenue through exception management, and also look for any leakages that may be affecting that revenue or potential billing. Thanks for joining me today.